what it is, it's the Flowster. Let's get going. What's going on, Chads? So you want to know how to make even more cash money? I see you. Let's get that bank. Starting off, we've got Vampire Sentinels. If you wanted to harness your inner Jacob and straight up slay vampires, boy oh boy will you like this method. This will require completion of the Sense of the Father quest, the Vire Noble Disguise, the Draken's Medallion, and a Blisterwood Flail. You'll also want 3 4-dose Divine Super Combat Potions, and a handful of food to heal from the Prayer Altar, as it'll damage you a tiny bit over time. High Alch runes would also be a good option. To journey here, you're just going to right click on your Draken's Medallion and teleport to Darkmire. And then you're just going to run north a little bit. And once you get here, they'll be aggressive to you. Inventory will probably want to look something like this. Just remember to bring High Alchs if you're going to be doing that. Otherwise, there is a bank. Just make sure that you put on your disguise if you plan on banking that way. And gear should look something like this. Really, you have 3 options that you can kind of spec this for. You can spec for a combination of Strength and Crush, or Strength and Prayer, or Crush and Prayer. And in my case, I definitely lean more toward Prayer because I just wanted to AFK a little bit more. So just do what's best for your situation. These guys aren't really anything to worry about. Just make sure you recharge your prayer points when they start getting low and are keeping up with your Divine Super Combat Potions. Quick prayers are set to protect from melee, piety, and rapid heal. You really just want to be picking up all the alchables here, as well as Death, Blood, and Nature runes, the Runite Bar and Runite Ore, and of course the Blood Shard. Overall, without picking up the Vampire Dust, you can expect to make roughly 750k per hour, which isn't bad considering that these guys are semi-AFK and pretty chill. And obviously this GP per hour rate assumes that you were on the 1 in 1500 drop rate for the Blood Shard and are getting about right around 100 kills per hour. Moving on to Rune Dragons. For this method, you'll need the Dragon Slayer 2 quest complete. I'd also recommend 90 plus melee combat stats, as well as full Justiciar and a Dragon Hunter Lance. If you don't have a Dragon Hunter Lance, I'd go with a Zamorakian Hasta like I am here. And if you don't have that, then go with an Abyssal Dagger. You'll also want a Dragonfire Shield and insulated boots. Everything else for gear is really up to your preference. For supplies, you'll use up 3 4-dose Divine Super Combats, 5 doses of regular extended anti-fire, and around 100 sharks or whatever food you'd prefer. Lastly, you'll want some teleport to house tabs if you're replenishing your stats and banking that way, and a dig site pendant if you don't have one in your house. For inventory, you'll want something around here. So I've got a Super Divine Combat Potion, a regular extended anti-fire, 4 prayer potions, a rune pouch with Telly to House and Wrath runes because you can get Wrath rune drops from Rune Drags, and then an inventory of food of your choice. And gear should look something like this. Don't forget your insulated boots. To get here, use your dig site pendant and use option 3. Then just run north to go through this door. And then through this barrier. Combat here is pretty AFK. Just remember to drink your extended anti-fire and divine combats before they run out. And I'd probably try to keep my health above 50. Overall, if you're able to kill 35 of these per hour, you can expect to profit around 1 mil an hour. Now we have demonic gorillas. Do you ever wish that you could tell a gorilla to post up in its habitat so you can 1v1 to establish dominance? Me neither. But even still, if you did, then welcome to these juicers. Requirements are going to be the Monkey Madness 2 quest completed. I recommend 80 plus melee stats along with 85 plus range. Definitely want a blowpipe here with addy darts in it. This may not be the case after the upcoming nerf, but right now it's what you'll want. As well as a melee switch, so either Arclight and Defender, or you can use like a Kraken Tentacle and Defender, or even just another two-handed switch like an Abyssal Bludgeon or a Sarah Sword if you want to save a few clicks here and there out of convenience, which is what I'll be doing mostly for convenience and because I save my Arclight charges for the Abyssal Sire. You'll also want a handful of super combats and ranging potions, around 20 per pots, a few dozen sharks, or whatever food you prefer. Don't forget to make sure your blowpipe has enough charges and darts. Lastly, I recommend really just doing these guys on a Slayer task, but if you want to farm them, use either Elite Void or the setup I have here. Inventory should look something around this. I'm also bringing High Elk runes, and gear should look similar to this. To begin this magnificent journey, use your Royal Seed Pod and follow this path here. You can also check your demonic gorilla kill count by clicking on this tombstone. Okay, so moving on to the mechanics of the fight. This fight is a little more complicated than the other combat methods on this list. Basically, all you really need to know is that for every 50 damage of a particular combat style you deal to a gorilla, they will switch prayers. At which point your character usually stops attacking, which will also hint at you to switch weapons. Now moving on to the gorilla's offensive mechanics. They can hurl a boulder at you, which will target the tile that you were standing on prior to the boulder coming down. You'll just want to move off that tile. The last thing is they attack with melee, range, and magic. They'll pretty much continue to use the same combat style over and over again until they hit 3 zeros on you, and as long as you prayed correctly on the last 0. Now I've seen this wig out every now and then, but usually that's what you can expect before they switch combat styles again. Which sometimes they just end up camping the same combat style for another 3 hits, but it doesn't happen that often. A good tip is when they are using range or magic and about to switch styles, walk a few tiles away because if the gorilla is going to use melee, it'll give you enough time to switch to protect from melee because you'll see the gorilla walk toward you. If you're able to get 40 kills an hour, you can expect to make close to 1.7 mil an hour in profit, assuming you are on the drop rate for the Zenyte Shard at a 1 in 300 rate. Otherwise, you'll only make like 400k an hour. Have you ever wanted to get this? How about this? No? Alright, do yourself a favor and skip this method. For those who want to experience torture, I'll cover this for you. Next on our list is runecrafting Wrath Runes. Requirements for this method are going to be the Dragon Slayer 2 quest completed, as well as a glorious 95 runecrafting requirement. You'll also want the small, medium, large, and giant pouches, mythical cape to start each run, and an anti-dragonfire shield, but I recommend a DFS. You're also going to want to equip a Wrath Tiara. You'll definitely want Graceful Hair and a Means to a Bank. Lunar Spellbook is also recommended so you can use NPC Contact to repair your pouches. Lastly, you'll go through around 5 4-dose stamina potions and close to 4k pure essence. Inventory should look like this, and gear should look something around this. To start the torture chamber, drink a stamina potion at the bank and teleport with your mythical cape, and follow this path. I have quick prayers set to protect from melee, and I just flick prayers on and off whenever I'm about to get hit by a dragon. Then just click on the altar, empty your pouches, click again, teleport to the bank, and repeat. Performing this method, you can expect to make roughly 1.3 mil per hour. For the last method on our list, we have Vorkath the Prophet Dragon. Profit per hour here is going to vary pretty greatly, mostly depending on weapon. With a blowpipe, you can expect around 2 mil an hour, whereas with a Dragon Hunter Lance or Dragon Hunter Crossbow, you can crank out around 3 mil an hour. For the example kill, we're just going to be using the blowpipe. Requirements are just going to be completion of Dragon Slayer 2, and then highly recommended is going to be 90 plus range, Rigor unlocked, Rune Pouch with Crumble Undead, full Elite Void with melee and range helms, Salve Amulet EI, Bandos Godsword, and a bunch of other switches that you'll see during the demo kill. Premonic Sea Boots 4 are nice for getting here quickly. If you don't have that, you can bring an Enchanted Lyre Eye, or set your house to Relica. If you don't have an ornate rejuvenation pool though, you'll likely want to be on world 330 and use someone else's house. You'll also want to stockpile plenty of Zulrah Scales, Adamant Darts, food, Anti-Venom Plus potions, ranging and super combat pots, extended super anti-fires, and some prayer pots. Inventory will look something close to this, and gear will look something close to this. Don't forget your salve amulet. Best way to get here is using the Fremnik Boots 4 teleport, but you can also set your house to Relica or teleport with a lyre like I said earlier. Then just follow this path on your screen. To start this battle, you want to be in your melee setup. Pod up and unload your 2 BGS specs. Then switch to range and camp this for the rest of the fight. Mechanics are pretty simple. There are 3 main things you need to pay attention to. An aerial acid attack that will splatter the battlefield in pools of acid. If you step over these, you will take around 10 damage and heal Vorkath for the same amount. If you stay in the pool, you'll take continuous damage and you'll also get stacked out by Vorkath's Dragon Breath. The big thing here is to always keep moving. The next mechanic is you'll be frozen and a creature will start coming toward you. You need to cast Crumble Undead on this creature before it reaches you, otherwise you can take up to 60 damage. Crumble Undead will kill it in 1 hit, but you could technically try to kill it with Blowpipe if you forgot your runes. There is also a purple Dragon Breath attack that will disable your prayers, so set your quick prayers to protect from magic, rigor, rapid heal, and preserve if you aren't using divine pots, and reactivate your prayers when this happens. Lastly, Vorkath can unleash a giant fireball from his mouth, and if that hits the tile you're on, you will likely die. It can hit over 100 damage. Also, if it hits the tile next to you, it'll deal half damage, so make sure you are at least 2 tiles away from where you were standing when the attack was launched. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Bank and repeat. If you need money, I recommend always doing Vorkath whenever you receive a Blue Dragon Slayer task. That way you're making great money while also getting some free Slayer XP as an added bonus. Profit here, assuming you get 22 kills an hour with a blowpipe, you'd be looking right at roughly 1.9 mil an hour in profit. While assuming 30 kills an hour with a Dragon Hunter Lance or Dragon Hunter Crossbow, you'd be making around 3 mil an hour. Alright yo, I expect you to become rich now. If I come across you in game when you're rocking a combat bracelet and an amulet of glory, we're gonna have to go to battle. That better at least be a regen bracelet and fury. Don't let me catch you. And remember, go with the flow.